asking you all a question. May I?
Yes.
Okay. How many of you believe that you have a story that other people could benefit from hearing?
Yes.
Okay, not everybody's raising their hand. I'm going to make you a promise. By the end of this, you will recognize that you all will. Now, let me explain. We hear the word storytelling in business all the time, don't we? The science of storytelling, the power of storytelling. Storytelling is always the thing they tell us to focus on. But let me tell you something. I believe that most people misinterpret storytelling. For me, it's like the difference between singing and singing. You know the difference. You can hear it right away. We all have the vocal capacity to sing. Yes, we all got vocal cords, la, 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 you know. But when a Whitney Houston walks into the room, you can feel the difference. For me, that's true storytelling. See, in this day and age, when we use storytelling all the time, what people are saying is that you're just recalling events, right? To tell a story is to just say what happened in the past. But true storytelling is walking somebody on an emotional journey. So much so that as you share that story, they can feel it. Every word, every description you give, they feel it inside and out to the point where they themselves feel like they're a part of your story. You know that difference? It's kind of the goosebumps you get when you hear something so powerful that you can't deny it. That's the type of storytelling that matters. And it frustrates me when people talk about storytelling in business, but what they're really saying is, yeah, I'm gonna tell you what happened to me that one time I was working with a client. What? No. If I wanna transform somebody, if I wanna touch somebody, if I want somebody to resonate with what I'm saying, I can't just recall what happened. I have to walk them through what happened so that when they go home at night, they remember it almost as if they were actually there. Now, the beauty of that is that there's two types of learning. They say there's informational learning and transformational learning. Informational learning is what you grew up with in school, right? That's the writing the notes or listening to the teacher, taking the notes, then you got to recall it, try to take the test. Oh, I did a good job. No, I didn't because I wasn't studying, whatever, right? That's informational learning. Transformational learning is when you give somebody information through the power of storytelling so that they feel the information that you give. They don't have to recall it through notes later. It is now embedded in them. They feel it as a part of who they are. Imagine that for a moment, that you described something to somebody and it was so powerful that they felt it inside them. Then they went out into the world and shared that story the same way that you did. And now they're infecting more and more and more people. That's the beauty of storytelling. And that's what we're going to walk through today. Does that work for you all?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I'm going to use my story as a little bit of an experiment. So if it's okay with you, I'd like to be totally vulnerable in this moment. Do I have your permission? Yes. Okay. Thank y'all. Now, as most of you know, we are currently in Marietta. I've been here for quite a while, but I was not born here. I was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Whoop, whoop, go Steelers. Now, my parents moved us here, me, my siblings, we all moved to California when I was 16, and I had the beautiful view of Hollywood in my mind, right? 16 years old, and I'm moving to Hollywood? No, I was moving to Marietta, but whatever. Southern California was Hollywood. It didn't matter to me, okay? The glitz and glamour, your girl wanted all of it. But that's not what I got. Unfortunately, when we moved here, my father basically turned our family into a bit of a cult. I wasn't allowed to date. I wasn't allowed to go to school. I wasn't allowed to do anything. I switched to virtual schooling, and for a social butterfly like me, that was horrible. And it sucked. And we dealt with almost every level of abuse: physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse. For 10 years, me, my siblings, and my mom included, we were trapped in that house in Marietta. In 2019, me and my oldest sister decided we couldn't take it anymore. I remember walking into the room and I saw her standing there, face beet red, tears running down her face. I said, "What is it? What's going on?" She said, "Porsche, I can't do this anymore. Either we leave or I end my life here." Now, what she didn't know was that in that time, while we were going through all that, I was sneaking online at night. It was crazy. I loved it. Now, my father didn't allow us unsupervised time, so that meant I had to go online while the rest of the house was sleeping, and I did. And you know what I did? I read books. Your girl was a nerd, okay. I read books, but it was amazing. I was reading books about the world that we were being kept from. But in that time, I also kind of ventured onto a website and found a man who I found absolutely adorable. The dude was fine, okay? From the picture, I was like, oh, that one, yes. I fell head over heels in love. I mean, I was 22, never been in a relationship before. I was in love real quick. Now, in that time, he had told me, hey, I think I love you too. And I was like, okay, this could be a thing. Thank you. All right, we'll see what happens. Okay. So as I was reading these books, I didn't have money. So the only way to read those books was by going to websites like Goodreads or Wattpad, right? This is where people would just type up something that they felt in their heart and threw it up online. And it was great. It was beautiful, but they weren't professionally edited. And somebody who's always been a bit of a grammar police, they didn't work for me, right? So I reached out to these editors and I said, hey, can I edit this for you? I'm literally doing nothing with my time. And I had decided that maybe my life was going to end in this house. So I'll make the most of it. Of course, those authors said yes, because who's going to say no to free editing? And it was amazing. But the guy that I was now dating online said, did you know you can make money off of this editing thing that you're doing? I was like, oh, say less. So I created a profile on Upwork, and I began freelance editing. Started generating revenue quite quickly, but nobody in the house knew. So when my sister said, Porsche, we need to make a decision, I told her the truth. I got 14 grand in a PayPal account and a man on the outside. Let's go. So on July 11th, 2019, me and my older sister took what we could carry and we left at 3 o'clock in the morning and we never looked back. Thank you. Thank you. My sister went to Indiana and I went to go see the guy that I was dating who just happened to live in Nigeria. Now, I had 14 grand, so I booked a business class ticket to Nigeria. It was an incredible experience. It was amazing. But the day that I arrived to see him, he proposed to me. I said yes, and we've been married for 6 years. Now, I'm going to tell y'all the truth. I monetize the hell out of that story. I do. It's such a beautiful story, and I love to tell it, but it is the truth. It is the reality of my life. But I learned how to monetize it. And I'm going to show you how to monetize your story. And just understand, okay, that this isn't just me. We know celebrities do this all the time. Oprah Winfrey has a very famous and very popular story. Lisa Nichols, Tony Robbins, all of these people, Steve Jobs, we all know their humble beginnings. They used their stories and they monetized it. Now, if you're thinking, well, I don't have a story of trauma, you don't have to. Your story is a blueprint. That's all it is. What you've gone through in your life, good, bad, and the ugly, can serve as a blueprint for other people to follow. Yes or yes? Yes. Thank you. So, let's get into it. Now, for me, I understand that there are 4 main benefits of storytelling. Number 1, it creates connection and then impact. The funny thing about this part here is that so many people want to generate impact in the world, but they miss the first step. I cannot impact you if you do not connect with me. If there isn't a vibe here, if there isn't a relationship, I've got nothing to offer you. But by sharing my story, it creates this space of vulnerability. It opens me up to you. And you recognize that, hey, she might be somebody that I can trust. So it creates that connection before the impact. Number 2, it makes you memorable. I guarantee that by the time y'all leave here, let's say even next week, you will not forget the story that I just shared. Because that's the beauty of stories. They're sticky, kind of like syrup. It's nice and sweet, but it's sticky. It sticks in your memory. When a story is shared with you, and it is done correctly, okay? That's the singing versus singing. When a story is shared correctly, it sticks with you and it makes you memorable if you're sharing that story. Number 3, it spreads your thought leadership. I mentioned Oprah, I mentioned Lisa Nichols, Tony Robbins, and Steve Jobs. All these people, they are considered thought leaders because they shared their stories. Remember information versus transformation? All of those people use storytelling to establish transformational learning with their audience. It allows their thought leadership to spread far because once they share that story with one person, that person's going to share it with 2 people, those 2 people are going to share it with 4 people, and so on and so forth. Again, you can use my story as proof. As you've heard my story, and some of you who know me personally but did not know that story, you're going to say, oh my God, did y'all know what Portia's been through? It spreads. Yes? And number 4, money. Storytelling, powerful storytelling in business helps you to generate revenue when done appropriately. Now, you have storytelling for your brand, yes, and you use storytelling on social media, but those are the little coins, okay? I'm not here to get coins. I'm here to get ducats. Y'all know the difference between the two? Yes, thank you. Okay. So basically, I'm saying I don't need just a couple dollar bills. I need bands, okay, rolls of cash. So I'm going to talk about what that actually looks like, how to build it. So I told you how I have leveraged my story. You heard it in my intro video, but I'm going to actually show you what that actually looked like. Number 1, I used my book to get on the TEDx stage. So remember when I went to Nigeria to meet my husband, who's now my husband? Well, while I was living there, I started penning out my story. And I was able to use that story to apply for a TEDx in Nigeria, of which I got. And it got me on that stage through the power of powerful storytelling. I also use my story on multiple stages. So whenever I share my story, and I'm doing it from the space of true storytelling and transformational learning, it impacts people. So event organizers are like, hey, you, yes, you, come on my stage. And I'm like, okay, I got it. I can do it. We can make it happen, right? Storytelling allows me to get those speaking engagements. And then finally, publications. I like having my story shared in multiple publications, digital magazines, podcasts, television shows, all the things. Because when you can share a powerful story, whether it's traumatic or joyous, it is still powerful enough that it resonates with people and they want to hear more from you. That's what it gets you. So please understand that as I am explaining all of this about what I've been able to accomplish with my story, I am not unique in that. We see business owners do this all the time, and I'm gonna prove it to you. Every powerful CEO that you can think of is also a published author. Just think about that for a second. Go through your mind right now and think of a CEO that you know of, a famous CEO. I guarantee you they have a book. It is not a coincidence. It's a strategy. So how do we actually make that happen? So in my case, I use my story in 2 main settings to get me those ducats that I talked about. Number 1, in a book, and number 2, on the stage. And I'm going to walk you through the framework on how to use your story for both. Does that sound good for you? Yes. Amen. Let's get to it. All right. Oh, sorry, my bad. I wrote my book. That's my book right there. A bunch of people read it. They loved it. All right, keep it going. Now, how do you craft your story for the stage? How do you actually get up here and say, I want to tell my story and I want to tell it in a way that it resonates with people, that they vibe with it? It's a 4-part framework. And one thing you'll learn about me is I like everything simplified, okay? I don't like a lot of words. I don't like a lot of jargon. I keep it simple, I keep it cool, and we keep it moving, right? So, 4-part framework for how to craft your story for a stage. Number 1, you must understand the problem, okay? Whether it's a stage or whether it's a book or a talk, the world's most impactful talks and books are simply solutions to the problems that people have. One more time. The world's most impactful talk or book is simply a solution to the problems that people have. If you understand the problem that your audience is having, you can then present your story as the solution. Remember I talked about how what we've gone through in our lives are a blueprint for other people? That's because they're somewhere they don't want to be, and you're somewhere they do want to be. How did you get there? All you got to do is tell them how. But you got to know what the problem is first. So understand the problem of your audience. Number 2, choose the story. Believe it or not, our lives is not one long story. No. Our lives is made up of many different stories. So when you know the problem that your audience is having, simply go through your life and choose the story that resonates with your audience and solves that problem. Because it will not be your whole life. It'll be a moment. It'll be an idea. It'll be a thought. It'll be a client maybe, an experience. But you choose that one and make sure it's connected to the problem. Number 3, refine the solution. We all have solutions in our businesses, but not every solution works for every story. When you know the problem and you choose the story in your life that shows that problem in action, you have the solution for how you got out of that problem. But you got to refine it in a way that makes it simple for your audience. Hint, hint, 4-part frameworks really work, right? So refine that solution so it's easy for them to remember, recall, and use. And finally, create the future. We see this all the time with very powerful talks, especially when we're sharing our stories. So I told you about my story. It was intentional that I ended my story with me and my husband getting married. There has been a long journey after our marriage. But if I create this beautiful vision of the future at the end, you walk away feeling good enough that everything else I said sticks with you. If I end with something negative, now you're walking away only thinking about how I ended. We don't want to do that. We want to create this beautiful picture of the future. Now, yes, in truth, after me and my husband got married, we got married post-COVID, and me in Nigeria post-COVID was crazy. I was in a new country. It was scary. It was a mess. He and I had a lot of stuff to work out. I had a lot of trauma to unpack. It wasn't pretty. But we don't need to tell that in order for you to feel my story. I don't need to share all of those finer details. All I got to do is end with the beautiful part, and now you got something powerful. Are we following? Yes. All right. Now, how do you craft a story for a book? This is a little bit different, okay? A book is a little different from a talk in that a book, you have somebody giving their time and their energy in a way that a talk doesn't. In a talk, they're probably just going to sit there for 20 to maybe up to 90 minutes, right? But a book, they're putting in a lot of time and energy to sit there and read everything you're writing down. So you want to make sure that what you're writing resonates. How do we do it? Number 1, it always starts with a problem. The world's most impactful books are simply solutions to the problems that people have. I want you to think about your favorite book as an adult. Most people, if I ask, what is the most impactful book in your life? Most Americans will say the Bible. Most Americans know the Bible forward and backward, and yet they read it over and over and over again, even though they can recite it verbatim. Why? It solves a problem for them. When they come up against something, they crack open the book, they find the verse that resonates with them, and boom, they're happy again. Or they solved that problem, or it gave them clarity. The world's most impactful books are simply solutions to the problems that people have. So understand the problem. Number 2, you refine the solution. So in a book, a lot of times people will walk you through all the things they've done in their business. They'll tell you, I've got 50 million ideas about how to get you from point A to point B, and then they try to give you all of those ideas in that book. Now you get a 300-page book that nobody wants to read, okay? In the nonfiction world, a nice-sized book in this day and age where everybody's attention span is short, you want to be between 20,000 and up to 75,000 words. So for us who do really awesome things in our business and we have tons of solutions that we can offer, we could try to put our entire businesses and our thought leadership and wisdom inside that book, and we will not be in that range. Please, do not stress your readers. Refine your solution. Number 3, choose the stories. Now understand here, pay attention, stories is plural in this sense. See, when you're on a stage and you're delivering a signature talk, it's always best to have that solid, powerful story that resonates. Now, that isn't to say that you can't put multiple stories in there, but you usually have that solid gem, the one that roots or anchors your talk. But in a book, you have the capacity to tell multiple stories. Maybe it's your personal stories, maybe it's the stories of your clients, maybe it's the stories of your friends, families, and so on and so forth. So choose the multiple stories that resonate. And finally, deliver the promise. Every book contains a promise. Whether it's the promise to be entertained, to be inspired, to be informed, to be educated, it contains a promise. So pop quiz, if I wrote a book called How to Lose 10 Pounds in 10 Days, what's the promise that I'm making? If you read the book and do what I say, you'll lose 10 pounds in 10 days. That is the promise that I am making. Your job as an author is to deliver on that promise, because understand this is both true for a live audience and readers. They are selfish. They're supposed to be. They're not supposed to care who you are. They're supposed to focus on themselves. What's in it for me? That's all they care about. And that's how it's supposed to be. The more selfish your reader is, the more beneficial it is for you, the author. So when you step into a space of selflessness, it allows your audience to be selfish. And when you present the promise and you deliver that promise to a selfish reader, guess what happens? You create loyalty. A loyalty in your reader. They write the reviews, they tell their friends and families about it, they buy the next book, they join your programs, they do all the things because you did your job. You delivered on the promise. So those are the 4 parts of writing a book and speaking on a stage. My time is up. I'm going to give you these 2 QR codes here. If you are in that space where you want to write a book, please scan this first QR code right here. Understand that 93% of adults want to write books, but only 3% actually do. So if you're ready to jump to that 3%, scan this QR code. And if you're like, hey, I'd rather share my story on a stage, scan the second QR code. I'd be more than happy to help you. My name is Porsché Mysticque, and thank you.